The view from our hotel window in Quito the first morning. Actually, we were in the wrong hotel. We'd been put in the Hilton because the hotel where we'd booked couldn't have us for the first night. We spent that first day recovering from the 25 hours of travel and adjusting to the altitude. Quito is at 2,800 meters, which works out at, well, quite a lot of feet. And I had a severe case of Ecuadorian tummy, which had started soon after takeoff from Heathrow. Much nicer than the Hilton, except for the breakfast, it has to be said. The next morning we fly to the Galapagos Islands, 600 miles out in the Pacific. The Galapagos airport is on Baltra Island. The cruise ship's more close to the airport, and after stepping over a few sea lions, we soon found ourselves on board the Samba. There were 11 others besides ourselves, plus a guide and 5 crew. We sat down to lunch and the boat set off. This is at the Charles Darwin Research Station. Giant tortoises are bred here to restock islands where they'd become almost extinct. Passing ships used to stock up with tortoises for food, and wild dogs and goats, now being exterminated, are just as devastating. Dogs kill the young tortoises, goats kill the plants the tortoises rely on. Blue-footed boobies are everyone's favourite bird. The male does a high-stepping courtship dance around the female to display his feet. The male with the bluest feet wins. Boobies are completely unafraid of humans. as are the sea lions and iguanas, and rather sadly, that's why they were called boobies. The samba tows a panga, not this one but very much like it, used for ferrying us to and from the shore. A dry landing is when you step out of the panga onto rocks. A wet landing, more memorable, is when you step out into the sea. These are not tire tracks, but turtle tracks, on their way to lay their eggs. Starting in around 1750, ships' crews would leave their post here and pick up any posts for them. Today, you leave your own unstamped postcards and, in return, pick up some postcards addressed to your own country and stamp and post them when you get home. We landed here to see life coming to a new lava field, though what we mostly saw was lava. The best snorkeling spot, but quite strong currents. The frigate birds, the black ones, can't dive to catch fish. They're there to rob the other birds. Our guide, Nadine. Guides must be licensed by the Galapagos National Park, and you must always be accompanied by a guide. Nadine is French, arrived in the Galapagos when 24, twice married Ecuadorians, now done with marriage. She was newly qualified, full of enthusiasm, ideal, and very helpful to us with all sorts of tips for the time we'd be spending in the Galapagos after the 1-week cruise. Fernandina is the newest island with a very active volcano and the harshest landscape. At the end of a marvellous and never to be forgotten week, the Samba took us back to Baltra, where we got on a bus, ferry and then another bus for the 2.5-hour journey to Puerto Ayora on Santa Cruz. Our hotel on Santa Cruz, where we stayed for 10 days, could be reached only by boat. A memorable discovery at about this time were nabona juice. We never saw one of these close to, but at dusk thousands of them fly far out over the ocean for a midnight feast of squid. The climate of the Galapagos, right on the equator, is not as hot as you might think, being tempered by the vast ocean all around. The sea temperature at this time of year is ideal for swimming.
Amor equivocado y las leyes del amor me enseñaron a olvidar. Las leyes del amor me enseñaron a olvidar. De este amor ya nada espero ni valor para olvidar. De este amor
The cycle ride to Galapagos Bay.
Si el capricho es mi castigo, mi condena se acabó. Si el capricho es mi castigo, mi condena se acabó.
Indignant lava gull, I'd chosen its own special spot for lunch. It rained heavily on the way back, and everything, wallet and all, was soaked.
Y las leyes del amor te enseñaron a olvidar. Y las leyes del amor te enseñaron a olvidar.
This is the only stream we came across in the whole of the Galapagos.
Otro amor tú encontrarás, libre queda tu camino. Otro amor tú encontrarás, otro amor que te comprenda y que te haga muy feliz. Otro amor que te comprenda y que te haga muy feliz.
In the distance, on the coast, Puerto Ayora. Today we fly back to Quito, and early the next morning we set off for Bella Vista, about a 2-hour drive from Quito.
Es por tu gran ausencia. Dices que vuelves, volverás como el río que se va al lago. Dices que vuelves, volverás como el río que se va al lago. Un mampis, nayampis, cuando florezca el chuño, jaguan, ño jaguan, cuando florezca el chuño. No dirás que has olvidado la tierra donde naciste. No dirás que has olvidado la tierra donde naciste. Dices que vuelves, volverás como el río que se va al lago. Dices que vuelves, volverás como el río que se va al lago.
We saw and heard some toucans, but they were rather far away, and I don't remember what kind they were. We spent the night in this geodesic dome, with extra gables and all largely made of bamboo.
La culpa, si las historias no silban es por tu gran ausencia. Dices que vuelves, volverás como el río que se va al lago. Dices que vuelves, volverás.
This is a Jesuit church. Inside it's incredibly ornate and almost entirely gilt.
Cuando florezca el no dirás que has olvidado la tierra donde naciste. No dirás que has olvidado.
We've now just started on an 8-day escorted tour of the highlands of Ecuador. A few miles north of Quito, there's the official site marking the equator as determined by a French expedition in 1736. But a couple of hundred meters away, there's a smaller, more entertaining establishment on the actual site of the equator. The French got it slightly wrong. The road to Otavalo, where we're supposed to be going, is blocked by strikers, so we came here instead. On the escorted tour, besides ourselves, there was just Jean on the right and our driver guide William on the left. You'll probably see them closer to later on. Australian eucalyptus seems to be taking over the Andes. Because of the roadblocks, we had to return to Quito for the night. But early next morning, we set out again for Otavalo, and this time we actually got there, though it seems we were the only ones to do so. Jean, on the right, is fluent in Spanish and has lived in South America, though had never been to Ecuador. She often spotted things of interest, which I was about to miss. Our guide, William Arevalo, is a mestizo, mixed Spanish and indigenous, and proud of it. The 7th of 14 children. A wonderful guide, knowledgeable, patient, good company, and a careful driver. We stayed at some amazing hotels. This was the most amazing. We met the owner, described in the brochure as an English schoolmaster. He said he spent alternate months in Manhattan and at Hacienda Cusin, which can't leave much time for schoolmastering. He'd built the place almost from scratch in 15 years. So hard to believe, it all looked centuries old. Cotopaxi, as we should have seen it, and as we did see it. So we had to make do with this lake in the foothills. Another hotel almost as remarkable as Hacienda Cusin. Slightly damp logs provided in the bedroom. These 4 members of the band Cotopaxi, at full strength there are 8, played at the hotel. Much of the music on this video comes from a recording by the band. In one small town, everyone was making jeans in their back room, except that they didn't have a back room. We're now down to 1400 meters on the eastern slopes of the Andes. This small river will eventually flow into the Amazon. This volcano, directly above Baños, is now active all the time. The vent, as you can see, is on the left of the cone. Note, no chimneys. Smoke just accumulates inside. 4 armed guards outside the jeweller's shop. Demonstration by indigenous people against the free trade agreement with the USA. This is a double misnomer. A Panama hat has nothing to do with Panama. In its original form, it's the traditional hat of the indigenous people around Cuenca. Nor does the factory make hats, it finishes and markets them. Hat making is a rural craft, and the hats are brought in from the surrounding countryside. The old cathedral, built on Inca foundations. We're at 3,700 meters. Running uphill no longer a good idea.